do you like junk removal? Like as a business? Like the business model, I should say.
Dude, I think I do. It's pretty cut and I like it that it's cut and dry. A lot of these other businesses, there's just a lot going on, especially when it comes to hiring and training. That's one of the other could be.
Yeah. I never thought about that.
Yeah, when it comes to like, exterior cleaning, there's just a lot more that goes into it with the chemicals and how to clean things and different sidings and whatnot. There's a bit more of expertise that comes there. But with junk removal, it's so cut and dry where it's like someone has junk, they need it gone. Someone moves the junk and take it to the landfill.
Yeah.
There's no other crazy things that might happen.
Like you're not gonna like burn plants or
no,
like,
not gonna burn plants.
Yeah.
And the probability that someone has a bad experience with us is 0.
Yeah.
The way that happens is if we don't show
if
up.
you don't remove the junk.
And
that
so
they're
if you just show up, you're gonna get paid and get a 5-star review unless you're just kind of a dick.
Yeah.
So I love that business, and it is a very competitive niche. But there's a lot of junk out there. I saw a video recently where it said like I'm gonna make this up, but the U.S. has like 5 billion whatever tons of junk per year, and this guy did the math. Was like there's this many tons of junk. There's 8,000 junk removal companies.
Yeah.
That puts each household to an average of, and it's an obscene number of junk per household, and there's just not enough junk removal companies to take care of it. So no matter how competitive it is, there's so much junk out there where it doesn't even matter. You can just anyone can come into this business and get success.
I saw a video the other day. It was on TikTok, and a guy was talking about going door to door for junk removal, and I was like, that's ridiculous. But dude, like you would be so surprised at how many doors this guy went to, and he was like, "Hey, I have a junk removal company. Do you have anything?" And they're like, "Absolutely. Let me open my garage." And they open the garage and like, "Can you take this, this, this?" And it's like, how many? I'm guilty of this too. Like, dude, my garage is filled with stuff that's just like I don't have time to deal with it. If somebody came to my door right now and was like, "Hey, do you have some stuff you want me to take to the dump?" I would be like, "Absolutely. Like, take it for me." You know what I mean?
Because in comparison to like exterior cleaning or soft washing or all these other businesses where it just feels like it's not really a need. Like power washing, it's a luxury service. No one needs their driveway cleaned, but everyone has stuff.
Yeah.
Everyone has stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think when you're doing door knocking, it seems when someone's knocking on your door and asking if you have any junk, from a homeowner's perspective, it seems like you're actually helping them.
Yeah.
Versus an exterior cleaning door knock, it's like, oh, you're trying to sell me on something I don't need.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like if someone knocked on my door and I wasn't in the junk removal business, I'd probably put them to work.
Yeah.
And so it just feels different that way.
So I mean, you guys grew pretty quickly. How long have you been in the junk? Or I guess when did you? Because you didn't start the junk removal company, right?
No.
Like you joined and had a business partner. Okay.
Yeah. So what happened was, this is back in July of this past year in 2025. I saw an opportunity. My buddy had this junk removal company. He's a full-time firefighter running this junk removal company on the side. At the time, I didn't know if I was actually going to sell my exterior cleaning company. That actually ended up backing out. But before that ended up happening, I decided to go 50-50 with my friend here. And man, we started. I joined that company in July of 2025. Prior to that, I looked at his statements and whatnot, his yearly tax returns. He never did more than $21,000 in a year.
Yeah.
So I know there's probably a lot of meat on the bone. I could take some of the stuff that we did with our exterior cleaning company and how we grew that to the junk removal business. And yeah, man, it's been nothing but great.
So that's really interesting, right? Because I get, and I'm sure you do too. I get a lot of like messages and stuff like, hey, like what, like it's all simple questions, right? It's all the small stuff that like keep a business really small for a long period of time. So it's it's no surprise that when you obviously partnered with him, you're able to take all these years of experience in the pressure washing space of growing, $1 million, multi-million-dollar pressure washing company, and be able to apply a lot of those same principles to the junk removal space. What do you think is like the one thing that allowed for you guys, let's say over the last 6 months, to like really, take this thing off?
That's probably not just like one thing. It's a couple things, but I think generally speaking, I think a lot of people are asleep on the wheel on some certain things. Like the first thing I wanted to do is what I preach in our, even on our Service Business Pros community, which is like, you got to look the part. Even if you're not the guy, you got to look like the guy. And I knew going into it, we had never done more than $21,000 in the last year. He had a handful of reviews. There was so many. We weren't the guy. We weren't even listed on the first page. So we need to look like him though. And so the first thing we did was hired some photography, some drone videography. We got some photos of the truck. We got some shirts. These are all things we didn't have prior. If you looked at our Google My Business page, we had some random before and after junk pictures that weren't even didn't even look right. It's like a random picture of like a clean. It's like some you look at some Google My Businesses and it's just like a random photo of a sidewalk. Well, where's the before and after there? It just looks like a random photo. And so that's what I did. We got some photography done. We got some shirts done. We looked the part. We hired a really good website company to come and make us look like those dudes. That way, when we at least get some viewers on our page, like there is some level of like, hey, I can maybe trust these guys. And that's the first thing I wanted to do. I wanted to at least grab have an opportunity to earn someone's trust.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of guys, when they have these problems, they start a business, is they're not really thinking about that. They want to go out there and get attention and get jobs and whatnot, but when they see you, what are they seeing? Mm-hmm. And I'm huge on that.
Yeah. I mean, you and I both do that. Like when I have conversations with a lot of the guys that are in our training program, one of the things I always try to convey is the trust, right? Like that's such a big thing that I think is often overlooked. If you don't invest in like how you present yourself, how you talk, how you communicate, like and how you look online, like, no amount of leads is going to solve, a lot of these problems. So if you invest in that by getting a really nice website, getting really good professional photos done. Now, a lot of guys can't do that, right? Because like I'm sure you guys probably spent several $1,000s on your website and probably spent a lot of money on getting a lot of these photos done. Like let's say you're a new guy, right? Let's say somebody calls you and they go, hey, I want to start a junk removal company. I don't have a ton of money. What's my best way to really start to lift this thing off the ground to a point where maybe my business can pay for some of those things that you're talking about?
Well, just a quick point of order here. This is one of the things that I get comments on in some of my videos, like, oh, you took outside money that you had to start this thing. That's actually not correct.
Yeah.
And I wish I could actually, there's probably some way I can prove that. That's one of the things I wanted to pride myself on. We started a brand new LLC, brand new bank accounts.
Yeah.
And I'm fixing to tell I'm going to go a different direction here in a second, but we used no outside money to start this. The very first thing I did is like, look, everyone has a couple $100, right? You have a couple $100 to buy a power washer or start a junk removal company. We had a couple $100. Everyone has a couple $100, and we use that for photography. We use that $50 to get a couple shirts, and that's how we started. Now, here's the follow up to that. This is what I talk about a lot in my Service Business Pros community. Is whenever you're getting cash and whatnot, and we also talk about we also had other jobs. I have another business. I'm able to support myself. He's a full-time firefighter. He's able to support himself. We have this business that we're trying to grow from nothing. Why? I don't need the cash from that. And now I know this is different when someone's starting brand new. They might need that cash, but this is why we talk about in the community. Like, look, have your full-time job because you need that to keep your roof over your head. This is what you're building right here is something that will, hopefully change your family's family tree here in a couple of years. But you need the cash to make that happen. Don't suck it out, right? And so we haven't taken a dollar from this thing. One, because we don't need it, but every single dollar we've been able to reinvest. And we'll talk about Google Ads, and I'm sure you can provide some insight to that. But like when people are starting to make this income, like that is like you need to have an assignment for every single dollar, right? And so that's what that was my whole plan for this thing. You get some cash in. I don't need that cash. We can spend that on some new, we ended up buying a dump truck.
Yeah.
We bought a new dump truck because we started getting our Google ads started firing, and you guys have been killing it with the Google ads for us. So,
that's I'll tell you this, like I obviously have the luxury of having, I have 10 to 20 conversations with guys of all walks of life in their business every single week. And the biggest thing, if anybody's listening to this, if you want my biggest piece of advice on how to be successful, if you want to grow your business to, let's say, 7 figures and beyond, is don't drain your business of money too soon. Because, I've got guys, specifically in the pressure washing space, I get a lot of calls. Guys will call me and they'll go, hey, I need more leads. And they'll go, how much is it? I'm like, I don't know, $3,000 to $4,000 is probably what you're looking to spend. And they'll go, well, I don't know if I can afford it. And I'm like, well, how much is your business making? They're like, we're making like $12,000, $13,000 a month. And I'm like, dude, that's like really good. How can you not afford it? And they're like, well, my personal expenses are like $10,000. And I'm like, there's the problem, right? Mm-hmm. Like, to your point, I would say, and you may agree or disagree with me on this, if you're starting a home service business on the side, the time to leave your full-time job is not when you can. The time to leave your full-time job is not necessarily when you can, but when you're losing money, right? Like it shouldn't be like, oh, I now make more revenue in my side business as I do with my full-time job. I should just quit that and do this, right? Yeah. It's like when you're actively like missing out on estimates or missing out on jobs because your other job is conflicting like that. And even when you make that jump, you should live well below your means to keep being able to reinvest in your business. Because like, when you told me that, and you guys aren't paying yourselves, you guys have been able to reinvest every dollar over the last 6 to 12 months, right? Every single dollar. And now people look and they go, well, how are you guys having $30,000 months? It's like, well, because you were able to bite the bullet for 6 to 12 months or 6 to 8 months and reinvest everything into Google local service ads or Google ads with us or, a really nice website and all this professional photography. So I think that is probably, if anybody's looking for advice, that's probably the best thing that you can do to grow your business is to stop pulling money out of it.
Yeah, I think it's like the old saying, and this is actually comes from the School of Hard Knocks. It's like a big YouTube channel. They actually started in Austin, but one of the things that they talk about is like you want to stay small enough, long enough, and you'll be big enough soon.
I've heard that before.
And it's like when you really think about it, it's like, holy shit, like that's all I got to do. That's all I have to do.
Yeah.
And you pretty much not guarantee yourself there's all this kind of stuff you have to do, but like that's what people do is like, and this is one of the things like in America too, is like people like get money and they want to spend it. And there's so many things that people, they want to grab a hold of, and they're sucking cash. They start getting some money. They start buying stuff, and it's just the cycle. They upgrade their lifestyle. They upgrade their car. Like if I'm getting an extra $500 a month in junk removal, I can probably afford to upgrade my truck.
Exactly.
It's just like, but these are these little decisions that just keep on trickling down, and it just sucks cash from their life. And that, and it all starts with, you got to get your house. You got to be able to maintain your four walls, right? And so we do that with the job, with your career, right? This business, if you do it the correct way and you build it, it shouldn't take you 2 or 3 years. If you're reinvesting every single dollar, it really doesn't take that much, And we were talking about getting good photos and looking the right part. You want to build a house on good, solid foundation. If you get all these leads coming in, but you don't look right, then nothing's going to work, right?
Yeah.
So you spend very little to no money looking the part, but then you start doing some jobs. Reinvest that into a good Google ad company, a good website company like yourselves, like the Social Media Pros. Now you can start converting high traffic. And like we spent like, what was it, like $2,200 in Google ad money in January, and it resulted in almost like $30,000.
Yeah,
and so
crazy.
it's just like,
it's crazy.
But I'm not looking at it like, oh man, like that money was there and we were able to use it because we don't need that cash. And so if you're watching this video and you're like, man, how do I get to that level? It's like, don't leave your job, and then make sure that your cash is coming in, that it has an assignment, and that you got to prioritize your life in a sense where it's like, what do I really want to grow? Like these are just little adjustments that people can make.
Yeah.
That can really.
So I want to clarify something for anybody listening out there. So correct me if I'm wrong. LSAs, so Google Local Service Ads, and obviously my company manages those. Those are a big part of the amount of leads you've gotten. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
We started with Google Ads, and then we converted over to Google LSA.
I think we're getting bounce back.
Yeah, we're getting some good conversion. We're also going into the winter, and you guys had mentioned that just because it's a slower season, this might be a better direction to go. But once we go into spring, we're gonna start heavily going to Google Ads.
I asked that question because I'm sure somebody is watching this and they're going, well, hey, like, he spent $2,000-$3,000 in ads and then made $30,000. Like, I can do the same thing. And it's very, very important I want to clarify that, right? Because, I don't want people calling me and going, hey, I've got $3,000. Like, I want to make $30,000. The reason that, and correct me if I'm wrong, the reason that you guys have been able to do that is because all your other systems are dialed in, right? And I have to have that conversation quite frequently where we actually turn people away, like if they're a newer company or whatever the case may be, because a lot of people think that leads are the problem, and that's only a small part of the problem. Like, a bigger part of the problem is, do you look the part, right? Can people trust you? Do you answer your phone? Like, is your phone call response rate where it is? Like, what does your sales process look like? If you're in junk removal, like, do you sound good on the phone? Like, do you sound eager and optimistic for this potential person to give you money, or do you sound, gruff and or do you have a CRM? Like, is your estimate process all dialed in? I think that's one of the things that people probably want to hear more from you, because I think that a lot of times they'll hear us talk about lead generation, right? And it's like, hey, we spent $3,000, made $30,000. People are like, I want to do that. But there's a lot of other stuff that's packed into what you were able to do with those leads that a lot of other people may not be able to do with those leads. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, totally. I mean, like, if you guys are watching this video and you've ever had to look up a service, maybe you were in need of to get your car fixed or whatever it is. Certainly, you've gone to Google and you've looked up, okay, this is what I need. I'm gonna start calling a list of companies, and then like it happens to me all the time. I have a need. I'll call a company, and what I hear in the first 10 seconds is really gonna determine whether I trust these guys, want to hire these guys, think these guys are full of or what. Like, it's just like these people. It's not that hard to get a business on Google. It's free, right? So how many people are going on Google and they have no business being in business on Google, right? So you have to, kind of sift through those guys. But yeah, sounding like that you know what you're talking about, having excitement on the phone. Like, I can't tell you how many times where I've called people and it's just like they're cooking in the kitchen, or they're walking their dogs, they're barking, or whatever. It's just like you never know what to expect. And like I said, like these things, especially if like being in the junk removal and the pressure washing business, these customers are calling multiple people, right? And so like being able to focus on every single call and making sure you get those things dialed in, like, makes a big difference.
Do you guys answer your own calls? Like, does your phone ring, or does your business partner's phone ring? Like if somebody calls in?
They both ring. Well, actually, no. We have an answering service, so it answers the answering service, and they'll actually forward all that information to me. Because, like you said, I mean, you probably speak on this a bit more, but like the Google LSA. So, I don't really want my phone to ring, just because I'm everywhere and everywhere at the same time. But answering service, bingo.
Yeah, exactly. And so I know, obviously, I know you guys have an answering service, and that's kind of what I wanted to allude to too. Is like, like I know the topic here is like how you were able to grow your junk removal company so fast, and I think that one of the elements that allows for that to take place is having a call center. And I think that a lot of people may disagree with me, but I think some of the foundational things that a lot of guys avoid is having a CRM, having a dedicated business line, and having a call center. Like, I don't care if you're doing $2,000 a month or you're doing $20,000 a month. I think those things are so foundational, and a lot of guys will graze over that. Like, I'll make these recommendations all the time. They'll go, I don't really need a call center. Like, here's the thing right now. If your phone rings, you can't answer the phone. Like, we're doing something. And so that person who's calling your phone, they're just going down the line on Google. And the first person that picks up the phone, their ability to close is going up exponentially. So having a call center who can answer on, Christmas Eve or 12 o'clock at night or whatever the case may be, not only does that increase your Google local service ad performance because your ranking on that's predicated by how many times you pick up the phone, but obviously if you have somebody that can pick up the phone, and like you said, so now I'm more curious, do they book your estimates or do they simply just take a message and then they just text you guys?
So you can tell them and teach them how to do whatever you want, which is cool. Like, depending, because everyone's gonna have different needs, right? You kind of tailor it to what you're looking for. But right now, they answer the phone, they get all the information, which is really important. Sometimes people don't get all the information. At a bare minimum, I want their email, right? Because if they fall out of my sales process, I at least have their email. I can retarget them in the future. But name, email, address, and then a brief description of what they're looking for, and then we get a text message and an email that they just called and they're live. It's a warm lead, and then within like literally 10 seconds, either myself or my partner will make the call to grab it, or I'll get it, he'll get it, and then we'll call him back.
Do you have any idea what that costs you on a monthly basis, give or take?
Yeah, so it just depends on the minutes. Like, there's different companies. Some companies will just charge a set amount, and then depending on your call volume, it can go up and down. We use Answer Connect. There's companies like Jill's office is great, but we use Answer Connect. I believe it's $250 a month for what we're doing, and then if we go over the minutes, they charge us a set amount per minute. So like
$75 a week, right?
Yeah.
And think about how many jobs are closed just by virtue of them picking up the phone 24/7.
Yeah.
Like, it pays for itself and then sometimes 10.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a huge proponent of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're just getting started, you might look at it like, oh, it just doesn't make sense because my phone's not ringing. But and that's one way to look at it, and that could be correct in some ways. But as you start going on, like you said with the Google LSA, and like you might want to make sure you answer the phone. Yeah. This is just pennies in comparison. Like, there's some jobs where we got called where it's like a $10,000 job, and maybe we weren't able to answer the phone. So it's like, when you look at it from that perspective, like, who knows what you're missing?
Yeah. So. And that's a huge deal. I mean, I can tell you countless stories of, specifically in the pressure washing space, where I know that like calls have been like, so like when we run Google Ads, we set up call recording, right? And so if they call the Google Ads phone number and they leave a voicemail, we get to listen to that. And there have been times where I've heard people who are calling in about a commercial project, whether it's like a parking garage or a hospital, and they've had to leave a voicemail. And then we get excited because we're like, oh my God, our client just got a commercial call. Hopefully they close that, because that would be really great for them. It's $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, and we reach out to them at the end of the month and go, hey, what happened with that? And they go, oh, well, they ended up going with another company. And they don't tell us this, but we know it's because you didn't pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Like, if you would have picked up the phone and got to talk to that person and been able to have a conversation, your odds of closing that would have went up exponentially, right? So, no, I know in lieu of like just saving time, I mean, what is like, if for somebody out there that's maybe starting a pressure washing, a junk removal, landscaping company, and they're trying to scale it, to maybe like you have, to maybe hitting $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 months as quickly as possible, what do you think is the one thing that you could advise them on that they could put into motion that would allow for them to achieve that?
Man,
because I know it's a combination of so many.
There's so many things.
There's so many things.
I can't really put a number on it, but here's what I think needs to start in the beginning is you be willing to do the hard stuff in the very, very beginning, so that in the future you don't have to do those things. Like, right now, when you have nothing, you don't have that much pull on Google, right? You have no photos, no reviews. You got to get attention somehow. And if that means standing on the side of the street with a big banner and you're spinning it and saying that you offer junk removal, then that's what you're going to be doing. But you got to get the door open somehow. And then from there, what you do when that door starts to open and you start getting calls is really the biggest thing there that I see that shortens the curve on like getting to where you go. Like if you're pressure washing, are you having conversations about reoccurring work? Are you asking them about reviews? Are you asking them, hey, who else do you know that needs this service? Like every single conversation can turn into you know, scaling down the road. But if you're treating every customer like a transaction and you just want to get it done and you don't care about what happens after that as long as you get paid, dude, it's going to take you a long time. Yeah. If you're just getting started and you think that there's a one marketing trick that's just going to turn the tables, then you're dead wrong on that. Right. You know, you get the door open. I don't care how it's done, via marketing, via yard signs, flyers, get the door open. And then every customer from there, you put them through, you know, ask them good questions, get reviews, get photos, you know, ask them about reoccurring work. Do you value your windows looking like this on a year-round basis? I'd love to, you know, talk to you about a plan where we can make that happen for you. Doing that every single time is what's going to get to a $20,000 or a $30,000 a month, not saying like, oh man, I have a lead problem.
I have a take on this actually, and I've seen it in action, and I know we're taking up probably more time. This is fun, by the way. We should do these way more often. My take on this is, I can tell you today, if I were to start, let's say, a junk removal company or a pressure washing company or a landscaping company, I had no money at all. I had I had very little money, and I really wanted to scale as fast as possible. Like, I'm a hustler. I'm a go-getter. Like, I grew a multiple seven-figure business in a relatively short amount of time. And that's, to your point, right? It's like, how bad do you want it? Like, are you going to go out and do the thing? I'll tell you the thing that I would do with no money that I know for a fact, and I've seen it happen or work firsthand to scale as fast as possible, is I would go door to door, not selling, and giving my services away for free. And I'm telling you that this works, and I'll kind of break it down. We talk about this in our course a lot. Like anytime somebody posts in our community and they go like, hey, what are you guys doing to generate leads? I point them to this video or this series of videos that we've done on this. So the strategy is it's door knocking for reviews, right? Because as we know, the number one ranking factor on the Google business profile is how many reviews you have. The catch-22 is when you're a new business, I'm not doing any work to get reviews, and so you're kind of stuck at the bottom here. And so a lot of people also don't like doing door-to-door because they don't like being told no and the door slammed in their face. And so this particular strategy allows for you to go out there and do this with a lot of less friction, right? So junk removal, for example, I'm trying to start a junk removal company. I go door-to-door. I go, hey, my name's Sean. I'm with Sean's Junk Removal. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm a new business owner. I have a junk removal company. I'm just trying to get my name out there. I wanted to know if you had anything that you would like for me to take to the dump for free. Right now, obviously, you're not looking to clean out garages and take washers and dryers, right? But that opens a conversation. They go, well, actually, you know what? I do have this, whatever this thing is in my garage, or these two things in my garage. Would you mind taking? Absolutely. All that I ask is that I will take this to the dump for you, and I won't charge you anything. Can you please leave me a Google review? Right? And so what that does is, think about how much time that takes you, maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes, depending on how far away you live from the dump. You get a Google review, and you can take it a step further, because then all of a sudden you can ask them like, hey, do you have anything else? Like, because that could be an upsell potential, because now that there's some rapport there, you might actually turn that free job into money. That becomes somebody who's going to be in your referral network. Maybe they need something in the future. Maybe their cousin needs something in the future, right? And so it also gives you social media content, right? You can take pictures. And now, people are always trying to post on social media, but they're like, I'm only doing one job a week. That's not enough social media content. Yeah. Well, if you go, imagine if you did that. Think about this. If you really hit it hard, and let's say you did it 2 hours a day, which isn't a ton of time, and you did maybe 2 jobs that for free, that's 2 Google reviews, 7 days a week, that's 14, that's 28, that's almost like 60 reviews in a month. When you get 50, 60, 70 Google reviews, all of a sudden you're going to start getting a really good flow of organic phone calls, and now you don't have to do that, right? So it's like putting in the work now so that, that's going to pay dividends in the future. And I've seen that, and I've told you this a million times, I've told it a million people, I've seen that work firsthand. It sucks, right? Going door to door and doing stuff for free sucks, because you're doing this to make money, but really it's like a 401k. You're investing in now to get those Google reviews that are eventually going to rank and get you jobs in the future. So I love that strategy, by the way. So it's one of my favorite ones. I recommend all the time.
Totally. And whether you do that or you do another, I think the point is, like, you got to get out there and start somehow. Like, get the door open by any means necessary. Yeah. And if you have a job that's going to take care of your household, your bills and whatnot, doing these other things, it becomes a lot less stressful. And that's point of the game, man.
Yeah.
So I hear you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, I appreciate you letting me come on your channel and do this. I want to keep doing this because I like this format of video content. I think it's a lot of fun. Obviously, for anybody who's listening, like, hopefully you guys like this content too. You know what I mean?
And if you guys want to start a junk removal business in 2026, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. Comment down below what you guys want to see next. And thank you, Sean, so much for being on my video.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Peace out.